get to the fire. Pour some water and cool down the flame. It's down to the
Hello and welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. This week we're going to be working on the Sippewisset area of Falmouth. Be that area bounded by, well, we can talk about that later, but this area, believe it or not, we've talked about Woods Hole already, Station 2 district, and we've also covered all of District Station 3 and Station 4 district. So now we're going to start connecting the two together, and we'll work on this area here. But right now we're going to talk about Sippewisset, little village or a little area more or less of Falmouth. And that is this area right in here. And it is essentially bounded by the Little Sippewisset Marsh by Woodneck Beach, essentially all the way down to Racing Beach, which we covered before. This area here is Gunning Point, and this is the Cape Codder area. So essentially the Sippewisset area is covers Woodneck, covers the Sippewisset campground area, covers all the way down Sippewisset Road, and then somewhat the area to the north of Terhune Drive, and this whole area in here is basically Sippewisset area. No, it doesn't seem to want to go into. All right. And this is just basically just a very quick overlay using this Google Earth area here. This kind of mass of roads here is an area that is an area that you're going to have to get to know, work your own way through it. This area here at Gunning Point. But this area here on the opposite side of Sippewisset Road is a bunch of dirt roads, very small dirt roads in here, and it's can be a little interesting to maneuver your way around. And as we head north up the shore, you got the Cape Codder condos. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Beckles Road, Woodneck, as we talked about before, obviously everybody here probably already knows, Woodneck Beach, Little Sippewisset Marsh, and then all the way down Loop Road to Weeks's Farm, down right here at the juncture of Palmer Ave and Sippewisset Road. And while we're talking about, let's look at this other map here while we're discussing that, and we will start up in the area of Gunning Point. And this is a pretty easy area to negotiate and maneuver around. There's quite a few large houses in here on Gunning Point Road. There is right after Sippewisset, the hydrants in this area here are all, right around the 1,000 gallon per minute mark. We have this one road here, Gunning Way, which basically only serves one house here. And it does loop around. Right through the middle is a dirt road called Elgin Road, and it's pretty easy to navigate. It's pretty wide, and it did have a sign on it, so that's pretty easy to navigate. And then we also have bisecting it is Langley Road, which is another dirt road, but it is well maintained and it's easy to pass. The issue on these maps and on other maps is you see this section of road right up here. It's called Langley Road. Well, it does not exist. It shows on the maps as going through this little barrier beach and on up by the Cape Codder, but it doesn't exist. So we won't so much worry about that. The other issue that we want to cover is, I believe it's this house right here. 46 is a condo development, a multi-unit condo development. Now we'll cross the road from there, and we will look in this kind of a knot of roads across the street from Gunning Point, and it is kind of a knot of road. And one thing that you're going to really have to drive up there and get your own feel for the area. These roads up in here, they pretty good size houses, probably in the 2,500 square foot, all single family over in this area, but they're all dirt roads, and they are very grown in by trees and so forth. So they're very hard to negotiate, and they're not well signed. Everybody here likes to tuck themselves into the woods, and I think if we have problems, fire and so forth, I think even a rescue run would be kind of tough up in there. If we do get in there, the ladder truck is never going to make it. You'll probably be lucky if you get one engine up in front of one of the houses here, and beyond that, you have 2 or 3 engines in there. You're going to block any of these roads. You're going to block them up real tight. So you can forget about bringing the ladder truck in there. There is hydrants around this area here, but as we'll see, they're pretty well grown in. But first of all, we have Dearborn Ave comes right across from Gunning Point, and that is a dirt road, pretty well marked. Its terminus here is Haynes Road. Okay, now we will look at Haynes right here, and we'll see it's a U-shaped road on the map. Unfortunately, there's 2 Haynes roads. There's Haynes 1 and Haynes 2. That's the way they mark them, because right in here they're not connected. It ends up at this house right here, and it ends up over here. There's probably a 100-foot section that drops down a hill that for some reason the developer or the town didn't build. So it's very important to know whether it's Haynes 1 or Haynes 2, and the residents there will tell you that. So when we come up this other section over here, I believe this is Haynes 1 and that's Haynes 2. We come up Haynes, it's paved for part of the way, and then meanders off this way, and then becomes Upland Road and swings around. And then there's this little connector road here called Judge Robb Road. It's a dirt road, and it kind of goes uphill. It's a little hard to negotiate as well. And as you see, there are hydrants around, and they do about 700 gallons a minute. And then off of Upland Road, we have Hornbeam Road. Okay, you see, we'll see Hornbeam comes right through here, and Hornbeam comes up and stops right at this house up here. There's a hydrant here, but it stops right over here. It actually shows it on the map connecting over to Standish, and it doesn't. It just ends. And the other thing I want to point out is this section here of Upland doesn't have any hydrants either. There's a hydrant way up at the top, but nothing down the bottom here. And then as we move further down off of Sippewisset, we'll see Standish Road, which comes around in a loop as well. And there's one hydrant in the middle of Standish, and that's about it. So it's 1,000 gallon a minute, but this is up on a hill, quite a few houses up in here. But as you can see, it's paved road, but it is somewhat narrow, and we'll see that as well. So that's then across from that we have Standish, which I wanted to point out here. Standish goes right across Sippewisset. Here's Sippewisset. Standish is this road right here. Okay, Cape Codder Road comes over here, goes in front of the Cape Codder residences, and then goes down and services a few houses down over here. The map shows it's connected over to Beckles, which it is not. That was the plans at the time, but it did not the case. There are a lot of houses in here. And what we'll point out is that here, between these two units over here, this large residence here, and then these two buildings over here, between these three here, there's 62 units, 62 condo units. And most all of them, especially the ones that are in these two that overlook the Buzzards Bay, each unit is about $1 million a piece. So, as luckily this building here is sprinklered. I'm not too sure about these buildings. I would imagine not. But you're talking about, I believe there's probably like 10 in here, 10 here, and 5 or 6 over here, and the rest of them, you know, probably 20 or 30 in here. And they have a little clubhouse over here. Currently, the box in the clubhouse is out of service, but so it's multifamily. When we talked before about multifamily, that is a higher hazard for us. It's a higher concern for us. One of the advantages also to that is these bigger buildings are, as opposed to a 10,000 square foot house, which is totally open on the inside, these are each individual units, so they're compartmentalized into smaller units. So the chances that fire will spread from one unit to another are rarer. But we also have to have the fact that, you know, we're talking about probably 40 people living in this building here, and maybe 20 living in this each of these buildings. So we are, you know, higher life hazard, higher fire hazard, but we have to remember that's compartmentalized. And this building's sprinklered. Underneath the main building also is the parking lot for this building here either. It's a little garage door opens up and there's a bunch of cars underneath. So, all right, now we'll just move quickly down Sippewisset Road, and here we have Spindrift Hill Road here, and we have Beckles Road, basically just a little loop. And I'll show you a house, I believe it's this house here. I'll show you the condition of this house here in a minute. Pretty interesting, I've discovered. Now the other thing that we have to be aware of, and I'm not going to talk about it in this presentation, but this close road from Terhune, from the Sippewisset Highlands development, there is a gate right here at the end of it. At the terminus here is a gate with a Knox box where we can get in and out, although it's pretty time consuming and difficult to find the Knox box at night. But that area is closed off. And so we'll move down Sippewisset, and we'll get into the Woodneck Beach area. Woodneck Road running down to the beach, and then Maker Lane. A few houses in Maker Lane. As you see, there's it's a dirt road, 100 right at the beginning of Maker, and it doesn't show any others on the road. And then after this hydrant here, there's none down Woodneck. So granted, it's not a long area. It's probably probably not even 1,000 feet down to this house, but that's it. You miss that hydrant on Woodneck, and you're out of luck. Either to grab that one or not at all. The other access to this area here, we're probably all familiar with, is Burnham Drive. It does not have, it does not have a locked gate. However, it does have some concrete kind of bollards right at the end that we can traverse. But those are the, and we'll talk about that in another presentation, how to get through from Terhune through Myrick. The other place, the other area we want to look at is Sippewisset Place. In this neighborhood here of probably 15 or 20 houses. You got Place Road and Loop Road, just very simple, a loop. And then this little jog over here, Place Road. And these up here do abut the bike path. So, you know, we may be able to see on the mile marker maps that it may be easy access through from these houses here. Most of these people do have a little cut through to their area. And then finally we have the terminus here at Weeks's Farm, where Palmer and Sippewisset Road come together. And while we are talking about Weeks's place, Weeks's Farm, we will look at a photograph of it. I'm sure we're all familiar with it, but this is one of the older houses in Falmouth, a pretty it's an antique farmhouse. But two things to point out. Number one, 2.5 story, pretty large building, probably 3,000 square feet, 3,000 to 4,000 square feet. This section over here is an apartment over here, and of course we have the horse barns and so forth over on the side. And let's see, right across the street is their old barn. Right across the street, that is now a residence. That's somebody's home in there. But as you can imagine, it's modified from an old barn. So, you know, how is this balloon frame? Is this open framing on the inside? Has it been modified a lot inside to be a house? Who knows? We might as well look at this is just the entrance to Sippewisset Place, no big deal. And this is just a gambrel within the Sippewisset Place development. Like I say, nothing, pretty well kept. Most of the houses in there are very well kept. So not much to say about that. And this is the house that I was telling you about down on Beckles Road. It is a house right on the corner of Beckles. What the number is here. All right. Yeah, from in Beckles, I believe it's this house right here, number 19. Pretty interesting because in the front of it was all concealed by shrubbery and so forth, and instead I ended up coming across this. It looks like somebody started a renovation and then stopped. Is totally open framing inside, but there were bushes all around and the lawn's mowed nicely, but here's this stark kind of unfinished house, and it's right overlooking Buzzards Bay, so pretty good. Doesn't look like it's fallen apart. It just looks like somebody did a big renovation and then stopped about 2 or 3 years ago. And there's holes in the floor, obviously no windows and everything else. Structurally sound, but still in a frame type construction. So we need to keep that out as an unexpected hazard that we may come across. This is just show another house in Beckles Road. This is a very well kept house here, but probably 3,000 square foot, but a full 3 stories. Good size home. And this is the Cape Codder residence. This is the big building here. This is sprinklered and has an alarm system on it. And this is the other buildings to the left of it. And each of these is, they've got there's like 2, 4, 6 garages in each. So there's about 10 units in each condo on that side. Here is the box and the Knox box to the main building, the large condo, this one here. And this is the garage area, and underneath, as you can see, it's all open. It is sprinkled, but also to note is the fire department connection right there. Once again, not labeled. I feel there should be fluorescent labeling around the outside, because we won't be able to find that at night. So, but there's our connection. And we'll take a look at this here. This is the condo. Let's see if I can come up with the photograph here. Let's see. Get rid of that one there. I believe it's this here. Yep. 46. This is 46 Gunning Point Road. 4, as you can see here, 4 mailboxes. The 46 is on the opposite side of the street. So I was looking around for what building was 46. Right across the street, 46 Gunning Point Road. It's all in a whole residential neighborhood, so you wouldn't expect it. It's just a large house that's been made into condos. Now, is that something that's going to happen in the future with places, perhaps in Ballymead and so forth, that are, and there's 46 right there. Is this what we're going to be doing with these large, 8,000-10,000 square foot houses? We're seeing that on Oshman Way. We're going to see that in Ballymead or other places with these McMansions over the years. They're going to be making multi-family houses out of it. I don't know. Be interesting, because here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stories occupied with 4 obviously compartmentalized, so the fire may not spread as well, but there's multi-unit is a hazard. We wouldn't expect it in the middle of a single family development. And this is the front of it. It looks like a regular single family home when you get there, but it's a 4-unit condo complex. And there's the mailboxes again. So those are the little clues there sometimes. I know we've been up there a couple times for rescues. This is a house example on Dearborn Road. Wanted to point out over on Dearborn is right on here, right across from Gunning Point. Here's Dearborn. This is the house right, I believe this is the house right here, 15 Dearborn. Yep. Okay, single family house, nice house for sale, but I wanted to point out the look at the size of the road. Now this is the road just beside that Dearborn Road. I mean, I barely got the pickup truck right down that road. So that's what we're dealing with in that whole area up there, and not doing good on their road maintenance projects. And this is another house, just a shingle style gambrel up on Standish Ave. It looks, the reason I took it is it's an older home. Well, some of the homes in this area are newer, but this one here looked a lot older. Probably balloon frame, 2.5 story. Just typical of some of the issues that we may have down in that area. Just really quick wrap up to look at the town's GIS map. Basically, this is always a good thing to look at. This is the ones available on the town's website, and as you see, I mean, just right off the bat, you know there's hydrants everywhere, and that's what I look at. But the first few things that come into my mind is this area right in here. You know, this is Hornbeam, okay, in Upland Road. So just a small area there that we mentioned with no hydrants. The other area looks all right. Oh, the other area was over. Look at, shows pretty good hydrants everywhere we go. Pretty well done. But once again, there's Maker and Woodneck. There is just that one hydrant on the end and nothing in Maker itself. So in a little section of Standish, you know, as you come up. So those are just the things that, you know, it's good if you have time sitting around, and it's certainly part of our knowledge of our area that we can do this type of stuff. And we will just go over just a review of some of the notes. Okay. All right, just review some of the notes that we have here. Sippewisset neighborhood, predominantly wood frame, single family dwelling. We do have the exception, 4-unit condo, and 62 units in the Cape Codder. A total of 3, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings, 62 units. We went over each of the roads: Sippewisset, Gunning Point, Gunning Way, Langley, Haynes 1, Haynes 2, Standish, Upland, Judge Robb is a connector road, Hornbeam, Cape Codder Road, Spindrift Hill, Beckles. Beckles is the one that had that unfinished house in it, Woodneck, Maker, Loop Place. Then on the other areas, that's a basic response, everybody knows that. The interesting thing that, interesting anyway, is that this area here, if you think about the road network to that area, we kind of have to go around. There's no direct link through. So this is an area pretty close to the center of town of Falmouth, but it's outside of our 6-minute response time. So it's 3.5 miles from headquarters. You think we got a pretty good direct route, but when we got to go down Palmer Ave and Sippewisset, this is the 239 Sippewisset Road, so it's right in the midpoint of that area, right up by Cape Codder Road. So it's right in the middle. So 3.5 miles, we're probably going to get there. The best is 7 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes. We're outside of a 6-minute. Station 2, now even though it says it's closer, by almost a mile, if you think about the road network, the way they have to traverse to get there, it's a lot slower through some of the back roads. In Station 4, the same thing, 3.54 miles, actually a little closer than headquarters, but still the same response time. The good thing is everybody's going to arrive there just about the same time. All 3 engines in the ladder are going to arrive right at the same time. But in the same thing with for rescue runs, we're going to be outside of our 6-minute response time. We're just not going to get there in time. And Station 3 is 7.4, 13 minutes, and 5 is 6 miles, about 12 minutes. So, all right, that about wraps that up for the Sippewisset neighborhood. All right, in the meantime, stay safe and eat healthy.